This is Small Secrets, Big Rewards, ATC Tips, tip number 3, brought to you by Living in Hope. Number 3, identify and define exactly who you want to be. Competition. If a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer. Let him step to the music he hears, however measured or far away. Henry David Thoreau. It is the nature of humankind to grow through challenges and competition. How many of us haven't ever heard the phrase, keeping up with the Joneses, in reference to getting that new house or new car or newest satellite or techno gizmo? Have you ever asked yourself why? What does this focus on someone else's state of existence truly have to do with you or the satisfaction you garner from your own? Why should your measure of self come from what someone else has or doesn't have? Because that's what corporations, advertisers, and the media have programmed us to believe. Every time you turn on the television, you're confronted with happy, beautiful people who have the things you want. Advertising is nothing more than programming associations into your subconscious, very like a hypnotist who, with your permission, helps you reprogram yourself to allow the changes you seek to actually take place. Advertising uses sight, sound, and sympathy to achieve its objective, inundating the individual with literal, subliminal, and fantastical, as in fantasy, images. Catchy jingles create brainworms, and particular colors access particular areas of the brain to drive action. Typically, reds, oranges, and yellows, warm colors, can spur a person to physical action, raising blood pressure and temperature, whereas blue and cool colors have the opposite effect, usually implying relaxation, recreation, and low-energy activities. Once you become aware of how the media is programming you, you can make the best choice based on empirical data rather than emotionally charged manipulations. You'll be surprised what you discover once you start paying attention to the gimmicks. Fact is, advertising in media is one of the most deeply rooted transgressions against individuality and self-determination that exists. The measure of the individual against themselves as the person they are versus the person they want to be is the only genuine measure that matters. It's a very hard fact to swallow, and one that many people won't want to. It's so much easier to compare yourself, your haves and have-nots, to somebody else's. It's so much easier to blame someone else for what you don't have than to admit the cause of your lack lies in your own program. The one thing you must know about this state of existence is this: we all do it. The only harm in living this way is the harm that comes to the self. That harm is geometrically multiplied once an individual realizes that the only person responsible for their life is their self, and that individual continues to lay blame where it does not belong. In 2006, a book called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne was published. It took the world by storm, promising that the law of attraction, being what you put out to the universe will come back to you, if used properly, will result in your happiness, success, and bliss. In a way, the entire book is a huge oversimplification, and yet it can work. It can work because as soon as you set your mind to a task or an achievement, your subconscious begins to puzzle out how to attain or obtain your objective. It frequently fails because the surface tenet of live like you have what you want as the interpretation of cause fails. Consider that it may be inaccurately interpreted. Instead, perhaps the tenet should be live like you are who you want to be. Change begins within, and the law of attraction requires action. Basic philosophy holds that if you are not satisfied with who you are and what you see in the mirror, then it is you who must begin to make the changes necessary. In screenwriting, we use an external antagonist or a set of circumstances to force our quote-unquote hero, this would be you in the movie of your life, to break free of his or her status quo, slog their way through the mire of rational actions until every one of them has failed, leaving the hero no other choice but to embrace change and become what they must in order to succeed against the bad guys. Reality is rarely so dramatic. Most of us slog our way through the mire of rational actions over and over, failing over and over again until we just give up. That's the sad truth. It's not that we're not capable of becoming the hero we want to be, it's that we don't know how to use the tools we have to make the change. We think we need an outside force to push us into becoming the hero, but when that happens, we resent it. And since our movie never ends until we do, we're stuck being what others want us to be. No matter what we try or what the testimonials tell us have worked for so many others, we only find the results when it comes to ourselves to be less than stellar or simply temporary as we backslide into our original program. Contrary to what you might think, this is not failure. This is evidence of our script working perfectly. If you want to be the hero of the movie of your life, then you must change your script. It starts with thought, and that frequently starts with asking hard questions and facing even harder truths. Preferably those answers come from within you and not from the dogmas and expectations and voiced disappointments of those around you. Quieting the voices of others so that your own can be heard is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Once you know who and what you want to be, the next step is to find yourself a mentor. Your mentor will almost always be someone who came before you and managed to accomplish exactly what you're wanting to do for yourself. Most people who have achieved their goals love sharing how they did it. It seems to be a fairly general rule of those who attain success that there is a need to pass on the way in which they achieved what they have. This is true for every kind of success there is, from spiritual to corporate. Everyone who succeeds in living this life is driven to pass forward the things that they deem most important for continuing their success within another generation. It's the same reason we're compelled to pass on our genes as a species. Passing this information forward becomes our own brand of immortality. So, who do you want to be? This has been Small Secrets, Big Rewards, tip number 3 of the ATC series. If you find anything that rings true with you, or if you like what you've heard, or if you just want to hear more, please go ahead and hit the like and subscribe, and we will see you very soon. And what can I say but thank you for listening, and keep hoping.